Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Jill Allcoat. I'm a Regional Manager for the Chartered Institute of Housing. Today I'm joined by Sandra Maguire. Sandra is a Neighbourhood Operations Manager, and Sandra is going to be talking to us today about her career in housing. This video that we're making today is being recorded as part of National Careers Week 2021. We will, however, be using it as part of our resources to go forward, as part of our resources to continue to promote housing as a career of choice. So without further ado, let's have a chat with Sandra. Morning, Sandra. Thank you for joining me today.
Morning, Jill. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Sandra, could you first of all outline to me how you got into housing?
Yeah, it was around 18 years ago, and I got into housing probably in a slightly different way to that of some of my colleagues. I was a personal trainer at the time, and one of my clients worked in housing, and we'd have lots of chats about, our day and our work, and I just found myself being more and more interested about what she was talking about, and her commitment and passion just came through each and every time. It just then kind of sowed a seed really for me in terms of what else I'd like to do in addition to my personal training, because with the personal training it can be seasonal in some way, particularly if you're self-employed, because people have a set amount of time that they want to achieve their goals. So it's not something that would automatically be running full time. So I wanted something to work alongside that. And I kind of knew quite early on that housing was that kind of career to work alongside. So I then got into a role that was in supported housing. And it was part-time at the time, because obviously I was still doing my personal training. And within that role, I was working with health professionals, and we were modelling services for people who'd been in long-term institutions.
Right.
I absolutely loved it. I really could not wait to go to work. It was just something really connected and clicked with me. As time went on, my personal training it was something I was less interested in, and it then became something more of a hobby rather than a career.
Yeah.
And with that, my housing career started to take off. I then wanted to support my experience with academic experience. So I then embarked on my degree, and I'd done that part-time on a day release, and my employer was just so supportive. So I was able to do my degree as well as still work within my role in. Then as time went on, I then started to work in the general needs side of housing. So I kind of had the experience of working in support, and then I moved into general needs. I then was really fortunate to be on different projects. So there's so many aspects to housing. I can't tell you how many there is, but there are so many facets to it, and so many things to do, and so many things to get involved with, that I was privileged enough to be able to do that. So whilst I had done my academic route and my experience in the supported and the general needs, I was also able to work on different projects. So things like IT and mobilising some of them projects into the business. So frontline workers could work out in the field, if you like, and they were able to do everything they needed to do whilst they were out in the field. So I've been fortunate that I've been in varied roles and involved in varied projects in housing. But when I first started, I would never, ever have thought that it was so vast.
Yeah.
So interesting. And not one day is the same. And there's not many roles where you can really say that.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing your journey. Really interesting story. And you brought out so many key points in terms of what you said about the diversity and the different sort of options. Could you go on to just tell me a bit more about your current role, the role that you do at the moment, and sort of explain a bit more about your role, responsibilities, sort of the team that you support and work with, and your employer, in terms of helping us to understand the sector a bit more?
So, I mean, again, I've been, really fortunate. I've got a fantastic employer. They're supportive, and as a result of that, you're then supportive to your team. I'm able to support my team who work out in the field. So your day can range from letting a property to dealing with antisocial behaviour to meeting with our partners, dealing with statutory services, dealing with safeguarding issues. The days can be so varied, but equally rewarding.
Yeah.
I think, for me, you need to get that balance right. And I think you get it just spot on, that we're able to see, while something's been really challenging, it's equally been hugely rewarding. So I feel quite privileged to be in the role I'm in and to be able to support my team to do what they can do, in the communities, which is what we're set up to do, really.
Brilliant. No, that's great. Thank you, Sandra. So you talked about your team and sort of feeling privileged to be able to do what you're able to do. For somebody who is listening to this recording today, and one of the messages we're trying to get out there is about the diverse roles and opportunities that are available. Could you just touch upon a bit more about the types of roles and sort of opportunities that might fall within the housing management discipline?
Yeah, so roles can range from working in the contact centre right through to working out in the community. The roles can involve, working directly with our customers, or you're working in a back office function, so you're supporting those who are working out in the community. There's roles in development, there's roles in repairs, there's roles in lettings, there's roles in antisocial behaviour. It's so vast, I could go on. But what I would say to somebody who's thinking about it, just do a little bit of research, just look into it in a bit more detail, contact different housing providers, have conversations with them, put your questions together, and then you can ask them questions, and you can ask them questions of different housing providers, and that will then give you a little bit more information to help you to make them choices, if you like, or decisions.
Yeah, brilliant. No, absolutely. And thank you. That's a great, sort of a few bits of great advice for anybody that is looking and sort of starting to explore the possible opportunities. Sandra, earlier on you talked about doing your degree. So if we can just sort of touch upon some areas around sort of like your learning and your professional development during your career. Could you just talk a bit more about sort of why for you doing a professional qualification was really important?
So firstly, housing is a profession. I didn't fall into it. I purposely forged a career, and I wanted to support my experience with academic experience. So within the degree I completed, we looked at housing policy, we looked at housing finance, we looked at housing development, because one of the things I find myself asking quite early on was, what is the finance that supports the developments? What sits behind it? What's the government's role? What are local government's role? So I wanted to understand that in a far wider context. So for me, that supported my professional development. And, I'm proud to say that I'm a housing professional.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, that's there were some really key messages there about that. You know, the combination of that, that experience, and also, you know, the theory and things like the values and behaviours that all make housing professional. So the last thing I just wanted to touch upon, Sandra, then is talking about generally about your journey. And I do know that you are engaged with CIH, which is your professional body. Can you talk a bit more about ways in which you're engaged with CIH, and why is that important?
It's important to me because the CIH have been part of my journey. It's been part of my support. It's been part of my touching base when I'm making decisions. So let's look at that in terms of the standards. So we've got professional standards, the values, they underpin my values, and it's good to kind of touch that sometimes, just to see whether your thinking is along the lines of what you've essentially signed up to.
Yeah.
I'm a CIH mentor, so I mentor people who are going through either the qualification or people who are just coming into housing, or indeed people who are already in housing. I also sit on the Professionals by Experience panel, so that's for candidates coming through the professional route to do their chartered membership. And I have to say, each time I just feel so proud to be able to be in a position to see these fantastic people coming through who have equally got that passion to only make a difference, but to really highlight housing as a profession. Yeah,
brilliantly, and some great descriptions there about that collective passion. That's really strong, so no, thank you for sharing all of that. Well, we've come to the end of our discussion this morning. So Sandra, I just want to say, thank you again for taking the time to talk to us today about your career. Some great hints and tips there, and so a great narrative about your journey. As I say, these videos will be used during National Careers Week and will be used as part of our resources going forward. If a career in the housing profession is something that you are interested in, please do get in touch with myself or others within the Chartered Institute of Housing. There's lots of people who'd be happy to sort of talk to you about the different opportunities and the different routes in, and provide some signposting and so on. And you can also visit the Chartered Institute of Housing's website at www.cih.org, where there's a range of resources on there, including information about CIH membership and about our professional standards that Sandra referred to earlier on. So without further ado, I'm going to stop this interview now. And again, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Jill.